Book of Luke. Chapter 6. Now it happened on the second Sabbath after the first that he went through the grain fields. And his disciples plucked the heads of grain, and ate them, rubbing them in their hands. And some of the Pharisees said to them, "Why are you doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbaths?" But YAHUAH answering them said, "Have you not even read this, what David did when he was hungry, he and those who were with him? How he went into the house of Elohim, took and ate the showbread, and also gave some to those with him, which is not lawful for any but the priests to eat. And he said to them, The Son of Man is also master of the Sabbath. Now it happened on another Sabbath, also that he entered the synagogue and taught. And a man was there whose right hand was withered. So the scribes and Pharisees watched him closely, whether he would heal on the Sabbath, that they might find an accusation against him. But he knew their thoughts, and said to the man who had the withered hand, Arise and stand here. And he arose and stood. Then YAHUAH said to them, I will ask you one thing, is it lawful on the Sabbaths to do good, or to do evil, to save life, or to destroy? And when he had looked around at them all, he said to the man, Stretch out your hand. And he did so, and his hand was restored whole as the other. But they were filled with rage, and discussed with one another what they might do to YAHUAH. Now it came to pass in those days that he went out to the mountain to pray, and continued all night in prayer to Elohim. And when it was day, he called his disciples to himself. And from them he chose 12 whom he also named apostles. Simon whom he also named Peter. And Andrew his brother. James and John. Philip and Bartholomew. Matthew and Thomas. James the son of Alphaeus. And Simon called the Zealot. Judas the son of James. And Judas Iscariot who also became a traitor. And he came down with them, and stood on a level place with a crowd of his disciples, and a great multitude of people from all Judea and Jerusalem, and from the seacoast of Tyre and Sidon, who came to hear him and be healed of their diseases, as well as those who were tormented with unclean spirits. And they were healed. And the whole multitude sought to touch him, for power went out from him, and healed them all. Then he lifted up his eyes toward his disciples and said, Blessed are you poor, for yours is the kingdom of Elohim. Blessed are you who hunger now, for you shall be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh. Blessed are you when men hate you, and when they shall cut you off, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil, for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice in that day, and leap for joy. For indeed your reward is great in heaven, for in like manner their fathers did to the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, because you are receiving your comfort. Woe to you who are full, for you shall hunger. Woe to you who laugh now, for you shall mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. But I say unto you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you, and pray for those who spitefully use you. To him who strikes you on the one cheek, offer the other also. And from him who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who asks of you. And from him who takes away your goods, do not ask them back. And just as you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you hope to receive back, what credit is that to you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. But love your enemies, do good and lend, hoping for nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he is kind to the unthankful and evil. Therefore be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your bosom. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. And he spoke a parable to them, Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into the ditch? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone who is perfectly trained will be like his teacher. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, Brother, let me remove the speck that is in your eye when you yourself do not see the plank that is in your own eye? Hypocrite! First remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck that is in your brother's eye. For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. But why do you call me, Master, Master, and do not do the things which I say? Whoever comes to me, and hears my sayings and does them, I will show you whom he is like. He is like a man building a house, who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when the flood arose, the stream beat vehemently against that house, and could not shake it, for it was founded on the rock. But he who heard and did nothing is like a man who built a house on the earth without a foundation, against which the stream beat vehemently, and immediately it fell. And the ruin of that house was great. Chapter 7. Now when he concluded all his sayings in the hearing of the people, he entered into Capernaum. And a certain centurion servant, who was dear to him, was sick and ready to die. So when he heard about YAHUAH, he sent elders of the Yahudim, Jews, to him, pleading with him to come and heal his servant. And when they came to YAHUAH, they begged him earnestly, saying that the one for whom he should do this was deserving. For he loves our nation, and has built us a synagogue. Then YAHUAH went with them. And when he was already not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying to him, Master, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof. Therefore I did not even think myself worthy to come to you. But say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man placed under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to one, Go, and he goes. And to another, Come, and he comes. And to my servant, Do this, and he does it. When YAHUAH heard these things, he marveled at him and turned around and said to the crowd that followed him, I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Yashar'al. And those who were sent, returning to the house, found the servant well, who had been sick. Now it happened, the day after, that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and a large crowd. And when he came near the gate of the city, behold, a dead man was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. And a large crowd from the city was with her. When the master saw her, he had compassion on her and said to her, Do not weep. Then he came and touched the bier, and those who carried him stood still. And he said, Young man, I say to you, arise. So he who was dead sat up and began to speak. And he delivered him to his mother. Then fear came upon all, and they magnified Elohim, saying, A great prophet has risen up among us, and Elohim has visited his people. And this report about him went throughout all Judea, and all the surrounding region. Then the disciples of John reported to him concerning all these things. And John, calling 2 of his disciples to him, sent them to the master, saying, Are you the one who is to come, or do we look for another? When the men had come to him, they said, John the Immerser has sent us to you, saying, Are you the one who is to come, or do we look for another? And that very hour he cured many of infirmities, afflictions, and evil spirits, and to many blind he gave sight. And he answered and said to them, Go and tell John the things you have seen and heard, that the blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, the poor have the good news proclaimed to them. And blessed is he who is not offended because of me. When the messengers of John had departed, he began to speak to the multitudes concerning John. What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? But what did you go out to see? A man clothed in soft garments? Indeed, those who are gorgeously apparelled and live in luxury are in king's courts. But what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I say to you, and more than a prophet. This is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you. For I say to you, among those born of women there is not a greater prophet than John the Immerser. But he who is least in the kingdom of Elohim is greater than he. And when all the people heard him, even the tax collectors declared Elohim righteous, having been immersed with the immersion of John. But the Pharisees and lawyers rejected the will of Elohim for themselves, not having been immersed by him. And the master said, To what then shall I liken the men of this generation, and what are they like? They are like children sitting in the marketplace, and calling to one another saying, We played the flute for you, and you did not dance. We mourned to you, and you did not weep. For John the Immerser came neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and you say he has a demon. The Son of Man has come eating and drinking, and you say Look, a glutton and a winebibber, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. But wisdom is declared righteous by all her children. Then one of the Pharisees asked him to eat with him. And he went to the Pharisee's house and sat down to eat. And behold, a woman in the city who was a sinner, when she learned that he sat at the table in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster flask of fragrant oil, and stood at his feet behind him weeping. And she began to wash his feet with her tears, and wiped them with the hair of her head. And she kissed his feet, and anointed them with the fragrant oil. Now when the Pharisee who had invited him saw this, he spoke to himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would know who and what manner of woman this is who is touching him, for she is a sinner. And YAHUAH answered, and said to him, Simon, I have something to say to you. So he said, Teacher, say it. There was a certain creditor who had 2 debtors. One owed 500 denarii, and the other 50. And when they had nothing with which to repay, he freely forgave them both. Tell me, therefore, which of them will love him more? Simon answered and said, I suppose the one whom he forgave more. And he said to him, You have rightly judged. Then he turned to the woman and said to Simon, Do you see this woman? I entered your house, you gave me no water for my feet, but she has washed my feet with her tears, and wiped them with the hair of her head. You gave me no kiss, but this woman has not ceased to kiss my feet since the time I came in. You did not anoint my head with oil, but this woman has anointed my feet with fragrant oil. Therefore I say to you, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loves little. Then he said to her, Your sins are forgiven. And those who sat at the table with him began to say to themselves, Who is this who even forgives sins? Then he said to the woman, Your faith has saved you. Go in peace.